Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time, or outside of the live streams, you can consider joining the Discord I created. There's a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That Pinterest board has a lot of our family's favorite whole food, plant-based meals. So if you trying to get an idea what to eat or something that might be good, that is a great place to go check out some of those meals. Today is day 707 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 220 pounds. I have a little over a year left with my challenge, so I'm looking forward to reaching my goal weight within the next 12 months here, and then living out the rest of my life a healthy adult weight. A couple people checking in. Carrie saying hello. Hello, Carrie. Christy says, hey, all, happy to be back. You were at your nephew's wedding last week. Congrats, John, on your weight loss. Thank you so much, Christy. I appreciate you checking in and supporting me here. So I'm going to do two things at once here. I'm going to switch to the main, but I also have to adjust my Here we go. Got it back going. All right. I can tell my camera's a little off. Everything is moved around slightly in my office. I had to change one of my computer monitors out, and the new one is slightly different, and it might bug me enough. All right. That should be good. So, anyways, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a wonderful weekend. Really, to me, felt like it was going to be one of those last nice weekends before before we get hit with really cold weather. And so overall, I had a really nice weekend and was able to get outside and enjoy it because I felt like if I didn't get out and enjoy it, that I might not have many more opportunities the rest of the year. Sorry, guys. Still trying to get things situated here. But yeah, so this weekend, I felt like I was super active this weekend, and I'll go over that in a little bit. I think the first thing we'll go over is food real quick. This weekend, food seemed very simple. I mean, it was nothing real complicated with the food, and still had some great meals, though. And so let me get this going. I hadn't even looked through to see what I took photos of since we were on. So I went live Wednesday. I also didn't go live on Friday, so I got a bunch of food to go over, I guess, since Thursday after the stream. I think that's gonna be the first photo here. So Thursday after the live stream, went home, and there we go. Had some oranges. I was so hungry that I forgot to take a photo before I got through the first orange. I had a lot of oranges this weekend, and it was good. So, so I am sorry, Christy M. Apparently, Carrie did something and hit some buttons, and your name is missing from my screen now. So hopefully she didn't screw up anything or do anything we can't undo. And if you do get the ability to write before the end of the stream, let me know that you got the ability back. But I do not have that up and running so I can see what Carrie did. Okay, so she got timed out, so she'll be back. Sorry, Christy. If I could replace her, I would. Not really. Anyways, Thursday, oranges, and then after that we had Thursday night we had Spanish rice and beans, and there was beans in it this time. Sometimes we have Spanish rice and we forget the beans, but Spanish rice and beans was a wonderful evening, a dinner on Thursday, and I feel like it did, yeah. So it was Thursday's dinner, and then it was Friday's lunch. And it's funny that I'm going to show you a very similar photo to this in just a minute. So Friday's lunch was Spanish rice and beans. Like I said, this weekend, it just seemed like we just kind of kept it fairly simple and just ate easy things. So that was lunch on Friday. Dinner on Friday, I got a little bit creative. So, we had a potato soup that Carrie made last week at some point. I can't remember what day it was. It was like Wednesday night or Tuesday night that we had this potato soup last week, and we had leftovers from the potato soup. So when I was home Friday, Carrie had made up some potatoes, and what I did is I just took some frozen corn and microwaved it to warm it up. And then I ended up taking, it's kind of hard to see probably here, but this was the potato soup that we had earlier in the week. And my only complaint about the potato soup from earlier in the week was that the liquid was just kind of like watery. It just didn't really feel like it had a whole lot of flavor or taste to it. But the potatoes and the corn and the celery and everything that was in it tasted amazing. So what I ended up doing was taking the leftovers from that potato soup that we had, and then I took a couple potatoes and the corn, and I mixed them all together and created like this new soup, I guess. It was just a much thicker, almost like a chowder. The potatoes that were in the soup was a different type of potato. The golden potatoes is the type of potato that I used to mix in there. But what that kind of did is it made like it was almost like a shepherd's pie. Like if you know what that is, where it was mashed potatoes and corn, and then this other potato and the peppers and the celery and all the vegetables in there kind of gave it more flavor. But I did really enjoy it. And this here is kind of how it ended up in the end. So if you can see the difference between the kind of soup that it was and then what it is now. It was much more like a mashed potato, and it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. So I had that for dinner on Friday, and then that ended up being a ton of food because it was pretty much a leftover serving of that soup, and then 2 or 3 potatoes and a serving of corn. So it was a ton of food for dinner on Friday evening. This is just another photo from Friday, and then Saturday morning, our breakfast, our standard oatmeal with onions and spinach and mushrooms. Wonderful breakfast for Sunday or Saturday. Same thing. Let's see. And then Saturday for lunch, just cooked up some potatoes And I think I just ate those potatoes just like that. I just ate plain potatoes just to have some food for Saturday for lunch. Didn't add anything to fancy them up. Saturday's dinner, we had really what has become my new favorite go-to dish that we've been eating, and it is the polenta with white beans and mushrooms. I'm pretty sure that the recipe is in the Pinterest. I know it's in the Pinterest because I found it off the Pinterest board to make it myself. Really a pretty simple meal to make, and it tastes great. There's not a whole lot of seasoning to it. Carrie was talking about how amazing it is that it's really a balsamic vinegar and just a couple other things, but there's not a lot of seasonings to it, and it just overall has a great taste. And so I had 1 or 2 servings of that. This is kind of what it looks like when it's not all pretty, with the plating. So that was dinner on Saturday. Sunday, we cooked up some more potatoes, and I threw some carrots in the Instapot. So we had potatoes and carrots in the Instapot. And then I messed with, this is not the best photo, and it's kind of got a weird perspective to it, but this is just random grilled veggies, red onion, mushroom, red peppers, zucchini, and then like a no salt seasoning thrown on there. I ended up actually doing them 2 different ways. I made the half of them in the stove, and then I cooked the other half of the vegetables on the countertop, kind of to see if I liked it better or one way or the other. And it was kind of a toss-up. Like, there was things about doing it in the stove that I liked. I felt like the red pepper was maybe cooked a little more in the stove. The zucchini cooked real well in the stove. But then on the stovetop, I really liked the mushrooms that were cooked on the stovetop and the onions cooked on the stovetop. So maybe I'll get with playing around with doing some of them. This is really the one of the meals that I just make. It's not the most convenient meals to make. It takes some time. You end up using the Instapot. You end up cutting up a bunch of vegetables and using your stove. But I find that it's so satisfying for me that it's worth the effort to do. And really the only seasoning I put on this is just our no salt seasoning that we have, that we use for a lot of pretty much all of our food is seasoned with this no salt seasoning. It used to be a Kirkland's brand, I think, but I'm not sure what the brand is now. So that was just the veggies. This is just kind of showing the potato, a couple carrots, and then the veggies are on the bottom there. And then that is with everything mixed up. And I really do love how colorful my plates are now. That was something that, you don't really think about, but in hindsight, looking back, I did have a very, brown diet prior to switching to eating a whole food plant-based diet. And this must be a picture of the second bowl of potatoes and veggies I had. I ate a ton of potatoes and veggies this weekend, but everything is very low calorie density, and it was great. So that was lunch. And then for dinner yesterday, we had Mega Veggie Chili, which is our longest running dinner dish so far. We have eaten Mega Veggie Chili since the beginning, and we've been having it since the beginning, and it's still great. It's still a little bit different every time. No 2 pots of Mega Veggie Chili are ever the same. We throw different ingredients in based on what we have in the cupboard. There might be something in this mega veggie chili that we don't normally put, or there might be, it might be missing something that we normally have. So, again, great meal, just wonderful flavors. And even so, we do add a bit of like a Cajun seasoning to it to spice it up. But I think that even without much seasoning, it would still be really a good dish to eat. And then, yeah, I just got a couple photos of that. I did not take a photo of the oatmeal this morning, but the oatmeal this morning will look like the oatmeal every other day. Regular savory oatmeal this morning. And then for lunch today, I ended up having leftovers of the mega veggie chili. And I was laughing because this photo looks a lot like the photo I showed earlier of the Spanish rice and beans leftovers, which, and they probably aren't that much different in total I mean, there's a few differences between, one's rice and the other's got a lot of this bulgur wheat and stuff in it, but both great dishes. So that was my food for the weekend. I felt like I did awesome on my diet this weekend. Had no issues with really any temptations, and was just I ate such a volume. I eat such a volume of food that it would be it almost feels unnecessary to eat junk food because I can just eat more of the food that is part of my diet. So that was food this weekend. Carrie said here that she was under the weather, so I ended up cooking quite a bit. Yeah, I did cook a decent bit more this weekend, but like I said, kept it pretty simple, didn't do anything real crazy. And the toughest dish we had was the polenta with the mushrooms and white beans, and Carrie made that dish. So didn't really do a whole lot of work. But I feel great. Came in today. I would love to see the scale be, way lower than it is. But I'm happy that it's still under 300. I've not seen that 300 number again since last Wednesday. So I'm hoping to keep that trend alive for the rest of my life. It's just, I was really surprised at how much weight I did lose last week, because it was like 5.5 or 4.5 pounds or something, which was surprising. So if I don't lose that much this week, I will not be surprised either. But I would like to think that I will lose this week, and I would like to think that how active I was this weekend would help contribute to that, because I ended up on Saturday, had to get up and take one of our kids to a class that they do on Saturday mornings. And it's about an hour-long class, so I took them to the class, dropped them off, and brought our dog. We have a dog that's about 1.5 years old, and I brought her with us. And while my kid was in class, I took the dog for like a walk for 40 minutes or so while they were in class. And then we got done with the class, and I ended up going to a park that had like a swing set that my kid could play on. And then it also had a dog park, because I thought there was a dog park near where we were going for their class, and there was not. So I kind of felt bad that I got my dog all ready to go to a dog park, and then I didn't deliver. So she was excited to go to the dog park and run around and play with some other dogs. But just overall was very active on Saturday, kind of just being up and doing getting up and being active right away and taking the dog for a walk just kind of, I felt like, set the tone for the day, and I felt like I was active um, a lot of the day on Saturday. Carrie, real quick, said here, if you hadn't tried the polenta dish, you should give it a try. Everyone, it is so yummy and simple to make. Yes, find it down in the link below to our Pinterest board. It is a great dish and really not difficult to make. Like, if I can make it, then it's a simple dish to make. That's for sure. Because I tried making miso and that didn't go so well. Anyways. The so Saturday was great, and we ended up going, and yeah, Christy, it's worth trying. I mean, it's worth grabbing the ingredients and checking it out. I think Carrie has used something other than the polenta, like a grit or cornmeal or something in a bind, but it's a great dish. I like it a lot, and really wouldn't complain if we had it more. That's for sure. Saturday was busy. Saturday night, even, the thing I guess about Saturday night that I would talk about is just that we ended up taking our kids. We went to a neighbor's house and did a bonfire and just kind of hung out. And it was nice to hang out and just let the kids play. And it's not something that we wouldn't necessarily have done in the past. It might have been something that I wouldn't have done in the past. Maybe Carrie and the kids would have gone, or, and I would have said, stayed home. But just being this 220 pounds lighter makes things so much easier. And, things that seem like they would be, difficult to handle seems so much easier now that I've lost the weight and I'm much more confident in my own skin. And so that was nice to go out and kind of be social and let the kids play on Saturday evening. Then on Sunday, I got kind of a later start on Sunday. I think maybe because I had overdid it on Saturday. No, probably not. But Sunday, a little bit later start. I was going to end up coming into work, and I got everything ready to go. I actually got in my truck and was headed to work. And I changed my mind. I was like, it's Sunday. There's nothing I have to get done today. And it's far too nice for me to go and spend the day stuck in my office doing stuff. And so I ended up not going to work and hanging out with my kids. We ended up going up to one of the schools near us, and the kids played on kind of the equipment they have there and did some running. And I did a little bit of running. I ran, I think it was it was a 16th of a mile, which, in metric is probably about, 10 meters. So I did a half lap around the track. So like a half a lap around a soccer field, I guess, or a football field would be the best way to gauge it. And that was the extent of my exerting a lot of energy on Sunday, but still very active. My watch, I don't know what the activity meter I hit was this past week, but my watch did pop up and say I think it might have been 150 activity minutes or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I definitely hit a new level of some form of activity that I hadn't hit in the past. A lot of times I'll hit the step count or the flight of stair count that it sets for me. Excuse me. This cough, we got a little bit of a sickness going around the house. I'm hoping that it doesn't hit me too hard, but the yeah, just the watch. It's kind of neat having a watch. I would recommend it to get a watch that monitors some of this stuff. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you live and die by the watch. And I got one, we bought it. It was like an Amazon deal. What was it? It was like Prime Days or something. And I bought this Garmin watch. It's a Garmin Instinct, and then this is actually a different band here. That it's not the band that came with it. But Anthony's checking in saying hello, Anthony. I hope you had a great weekend. The thing about having the watch is that there's little things that I have kind of passively paid attention to that have probably been important. One of the things that I've kind of paid attention to is my heart rate. And I think that getting this watch and seeing the difference that my heart rate would change from when I was seated or when I was sleeping to when I was just going up a flight of steps. And to be able to actually quantify that difference. Previously, it was just, I'm fat. I got tired going up the steps. After I got the watch, it was, oh, my beats per minute went from 72 beats per minute to 122 beats per minute. That, I could see that number and it kind of was like, wow, it went up a ton, or why did this cause my heart rate to go up 50 beats, but that caused my heart rate to go up 30 beats per second. So, I think that is one of the nice things about having a watch that tracks your heart rate is you can see little things like that. And then this watch has all kinds of other features that I don't use either. And I don't use hardly any features of this watch. Really, I just have it tell me the time, but it keeps track of my heart rate. And then it kind of passively, like I said, it'll vibrate and I'll look down and it'll say, hey, you hit your step goal for the day. I didn't set a step goal. I didn't do anything. It's just saying, hey, you were a little more active today than you've been the last few days. And so that's kind of a neat feature of the watch or any of these watches. And then if you really want to get into it, you can use these watches, to really drive the numbers the way you want them to go. You could say, hey, I want to hit these things. I want to do these other things. Sonia says, good weekend here too. That's awesome. Glad you're able to eat simple whole food and get in some fun activity. Yeah, it was a great weekend. Hanging out with the kids and they got to play in a hot tub and we got to go to the park and kind of do different things with different kids. So it was a real fun weekend. But yeah, the watch here, if you have a smart watch that's sitting around or a Fitbit or something, maybe dust it off and throw it on. Or if you've been interested in getting one, it might be worth getting. I wouldn't worry about going out and getting the fanciest, most expensive thing. But like I said, just being able to see how much my heart rate was increasing helped kind of motivate me to change. There was lots of things that led to me starting this channel and actually making these changes. And no one thing was necessarily the overriding reason. It was just a bunch of little things. And having, the watch was one of those things that it just kind of was showing me where, and it also has like this little, thing that tracks the heart rate. And so I could see, wow, it really spikes, like the biggest thing that shocked me was how low my heart rate was when I was sleeping. But then the second I woke up and did anything, how much it just shot up, just how much better it seemed to be working while I was asleep versus when I was awake. Yeah, have a great afternoon, Anthony. And so, yeah, that would be something that I would recommend is just trying to do that. But like I said, don't get too crazy, because we got into the gadgets in the past, and you can really get lost with some of the gadgets. We bought the original, what I would say is like the original Fitbit, and I can't even remember the name of the company, but it was what everybody on The Biggest Loser was wearing. It was like the armband that went up on your upper arm, that it would track everything. And I don't know if it would even hook to your phone at the time, or how you would even get the information off of it. But me and Carrie both had one of those when they first came out, thinking that, hey, this $300 gadget, that's going to be what causes us to lose the weight. We're not losing weight because we didn't know how many miles we ran yesterday. That's why we're not losing the weight. We're not losing the weight because we didn't know how many times our heart beated. Like, there was a lot of other reasons, but we convinced ourselves that that would be the solution. And yeah, tried lots of things over the years, and who knew the solution was just eating all the stuff that I avoided eating. But that's the way it is. Let me see if I had much else. I don't haven't started any other books. I don't remember watching any other videos. There was a lot of news last week about the guys that rescued those pigs. I saw a lot of news about that. I thought that was kind of a crazy thing. And quite a crazy, for me, seeing something like that is interesting because of such the opposite position I'm in, or the different mentality I have. Not that I would have condemned them for going in and taking the pigs from that facility, but I just wouldn't have really even cared. And now to be seeing a different side of it, I thought that is kind of interesting. That and it affects me a lot, in that where I live is very heavy into animal agriculture. Like, I have cousins that rely on animal agriculture for their lives, and I drive past cornfields, and this weekend, they're harvesting the corn right now. So there's all kinds of farm equipment out, and they're cutting it down, and they're spreading manure, and it just smells awful. And it makes me wonder how much of it's necessary now. Like, it's just such a weird position to be watching these tractors go around and having different thoughts about them than I did 2 years ago. So that was, I saw something. There was I follow Reddit. I'm not sure if anybody some of you guys that follow me might have found me from my posts on Reddit. But there was somebody that was posting, and they had mentioned whole food plant-based. They were asking what diet you're eating to lose weight. And one of the options was whole food plant-based, or vegan was the same option. And I thought it was funny that, like, I switched to a whole food plant-based diet, but that didn't make me vegan. And I'm definitely more vegan now than I was when I started this. And it's interesting how the two get intermingled. And I don't really want, this channel isn't really about veganism. It's about eating a healthy diet and losing weight. but it just, it's also about my life, and eating this way is changing my life in more ways than I anticipated. I just thought it was going to change my waistline. I didn't think it was going to change so many other things, with my views. So, yeah, I think that the only other thing I guess I would leave you with, Carrie did not test for COVID. Yeah, so I guess we hadn't really even thought about it. I think we have COVID tests around. Our neighbors were sick. Everybody's been sick. The weather change too causes a lot of things. But it's kind of been, our kids were kind of sick last week, so she got whatever they had. But we have not done a COVID test. I think I'm the only one in the house that's done a COVID test with our in-home test kit, and it's not the most fun thing to do. Janet says that Dr. Greger's just getting over COVID. Okay, yeah. The last thing I guess I was going to talk about is, I was discussing health with a friend of mine, and they were talking about some procedures they were getting ready to have done, and some different outcomes that their doctor was putting in front of them, or different kind of, hey, this is what could happen, or this is what is going to happen. And I was listening, and it just kept in my head, like, there's so much that they can do medically, and it's amazing. And there's so many illnesses and diseases that they can slow down, or they can make go away, or they can cause such an effect on them through medical interventions and through surgical interventions. But I just like listening to him talk, and I just felt like I felt compelled to kind of say something to him. Like I knew that he really probably didn't want to hear my opinion, or not, that who knows what he wanted, but I felt like I had to say something about it. And what I would say to anybody that is still, watching this 40 minutes in, is that if you have chronic medical health conditions, or you have things that are not like quick onset, like there's so many of these diseases that are build up diseases that they take time to happen, and they take years to develop. Like somebody doesn't get cancer today and then die tomorrow from cancer. They got cancer 20 years ago. They might have just discovered it today, but it wasn't like a quick, fast thing. And what I was trying to explain to them is that our bodies are constantly trying to heal us. If there's something that is going wrong, your body is generally trying to fix that problem or to heal that issue. And what I think we don't realize is how much our diet gets in our body's way of doing its job. Because a lot of times it's probably our diet that is messing it up. But if you just simplified your diet, and you just got rid of the processed stuff and the animal products, and I said to him, I was like, you don't have to fast, and I'm not a doctor, and this is just my opinion, I guess. But I was just like, you're having stomach issues, and you're still eating all this salt. You may be eating less sugar and less oil, but you're still eating processed foods. I've seen the photos of the stuff that you're posting on, your Facebook, some of it, even if 90% of your diet is perfect, that 10% is sabotaging everything, and so I just said to him, I was like, I really think you should just mono diet for a few days. Just eat some potatoes for a few days and just see what happens, like, and what's the worst? I mean, I'm sure there is the worst that could happen. I mean, uh, but what could it hurt? You're already suffering through all of these other issues that, suffering through a week of potatoes, like, what if it makes a difference? What if it does matter what you eat? And I think that there's so many of us that if we could just get out of our own way, if we could convince ourselves to actually eat the diet that promotes health, then you could start seeing your body heal, Janet says that okay, so Carrie said there was no fevers. Yeah, because I think she tested the one kid was at like 99 this morning, but she still had an awful cough. Okay, so Janet said that the processed packaged stuff doesn't even look appetizing to you anymore. It's so strange how hooked you were. You know why it looked so appetizing? It looked so appetizing because the company that you bought that processed junk food from spent millions of dollars researching how to design the box that you were buying the food in, that the food was coming in. You were so attracted to it because you were attracted to the packaging. There's so many times where, like, what is appealing about a Hot Pocket? If it was just a Hot Pocket sitting on a counter in a plastic bag, people wouldn't really care. They wouldn't pick it out of an option of 10 things. It would get picked just as much as any other thing. It wouldn't get picked more, But if they put it in a box and they put a picture on it and they cut the thing in half and they open it up and they make it look like the cheese is melting out of it and make it look so appetizing, then that's how they get us to buy this food, because it's never as appetizing as what the box looked like. Just like when you go to a fast food restaurant, you don't expect the Whopper to look like it does on the screen. You're like, oh, and we've been conditioned to be okay with that. We've been conditioned to be like, hey, we're going to draw you in with this beautiful picture of this luscious, perfect version of the food. But when you get here, you're getting something else. And that would be like bait and switch in any other thing, right? I mean, you're baiting me with this sandwich that looks like it's 5.5 inches tall. When I pick it out of the bag, it's 1.5 inches tall. What happened, But they have conditioned us to accept that we know that burger's being marketed to us, and that burger on the picture is going to be far better than I get. And then they've conditioned us to be okay with the crap we get when we just paid $7 for a burger that's supposed to look like the picture. But they kind of get you with, well, we have to market to you. We have to get you to buy it. And then, well, we can't control how everything comes out, And so the person that wins in this thing is the fast food company on both ends. They win. The person that loses is the person buying the food. They get a product that doesn't look as good as they paid for, and it slowly kills them on top of that. So, but yeah, I've actually thought about that this weekend. I was thinking about packaging again and just how they have us brainwashed to accept it. But yeah, just walking down the cereal aisle at Walmart, and there's every color of the rainbow, you know. But if you actually pulled those boxes out and you dumped the contents on the floor, 99% of what you're gonna see is gonna be brown or yellow. And that's but that's not what you see, because they're allowed to market it and they're allowed to put little characters on it and try to sell it to you. So yeah, I definitely am much more attracted to the fruits and the vegetables and the actual seeing the bright colors of the food that I'm actually going to eat, not the bright colors of the packaging that the food I'm going to eat comes in. So with that, though, I am going to get out of here today. I appreciate everybody who's been following along so far and rooting for me. Things have been going really good since I kind of reset it at the beginning of September 2023. It's been kind of the second, I would feel like, reset that I've done since I've started this. But I would say that to anybody that's looking to lose a large amount of weight, that you need to develop your own type of challenge for yourself. But I feel like the two main components of that challenge need to be a very long time commitment, that no matter what you do, you're gonna be focused on your health and well-being for a longer period of time than you had in the past. So look at any of your diets in the past and say, hey, I was able to stick to that for 2 months, or I was able to stick for that for 10 months, or I was able to do that for 2 years. Maybe you did. But look back and say, I need to do it for longer than I ever have before. And that's why I chose to do this challenge for 3 years, because I knew that I needed the challenge to last longer than my motivation, because then I would have to get past that motivation and to stick with it. The other is to challenge yourself to lose more weight than you've ever considered losing. You know, there's a weight that you know that you would be healthy at, and then there's the weight that you think is achievable. And so many times I always picked an achievable weight. And it's always been something where I've done really good at reaching those achievable goals. Let's lose 50 pounds. Let's lose 75. Let's get under 350 pounds. Those are all goals I was able to do. But now that I've set a goal to be at 220 pounds, that is 80 pounds lighter. Really, it's at least 50 to 60 pounds lighter than any goal I've considered since I was 18 years old. But it still leaves me as being an overweight person. So set a goal for a length of time longer than you've ever stuck to anything, and set a goal at a lower weight than you've ever considered getting to. And I think that both those things have been extremely important towards my success with weight loss so far this time. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. Click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. Also give this video a thumbs up as well. And if you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There is nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody gets to their goals, looks back, and wishes they would have waited. Everybody wishes they would have started sooner. I'm not even to my goals, and I wish I would have started sooner too. You guys all have a great evening, and we will be back live tomorrow.